everyone, to, I guess this is the first episode of Nuclear Winter. So this is I guess the podcast I'm trying to make happen. Or we'll see how it goes in the near future. My voice is kind of stripped out. I've done some tests, and I've been talking to just doing some talking this morning. So my voice is kind of stripped out. That's why it sounds like this. And I'm still running the last of a caffeine high. I'll get into that later, but my hope is that I can balance this audio and work out stuff with the sound off this test. I've kind of, usually I try and stay organized, so I've put together a notes file of all the stuff I'm going to try and talk about. I don't know how long this will end up, but I'll try and get through, at least some of it. First of all, I was originally going to open this up with a whole little bit about laughing at war crimes, and I was going to use an example about some insane fire squad incident in World War One, involving some terrorist organizations in the Middle East. But I decided not to. I wanted to keep it kind of light, and I think that's because it's the first episode. I don't want to get into anything too crazy. But that just know that the original opener for this podcast was supposed to be laughing at the gravity of certain war crimes that were committed about 100 years ago. So that was originally the opener. And I think explaining that is a good opener in its own right. So I guess I'm not to be super pessimistic, but another thing I figured it would be worth talking about is this is town I live in. This is the worst year for drivers yet. School started back up, everybody came back, and it couldn't have been worse. My theory about this is that there's an accumulation of 2 years of people who got their licenses over Zoom during COVID. So there's an acclamation of people who got their licenses. I hope I'm not blowing this audio out, by the way. Who got their licenses over Zoom, and now we're suffering through that. We're dealing with the consequences of our sins, which are not, having mean driving instructors take these high schoolers out and chew their asses. So this is the consequences of our sins. I've been in 3 near wrecks. I did delivery for 3 straight months back after I got out of college, and I will be honest, I've had more near wrecks and more wacky stuff happen in just the last 3 weeks than the entire time I did that, and I was driving every day. So I hope that paints the picture of just how bad it's gotten for younger people driving now. Not a little bit of pessimism. I guess when I started writing this down, I was a bit more pessimistic than usual, just because I was starting a new list, and it was whatever came to mind. Kind of longer form stuff we'll probably do in the future, and hopefully I can work that out if we have guests. I wanted to bring up a beef I have with radio announcers, and I know they're expected to say this because they don't want to lose their jobs, but there's never self-criticism towards the networks. There's none of that stuff. A radio announcer never comes on, man, we never play any good stuff. They never say stuff like that. Only reiterated singles, 1 song a day, and I understand the cost of that, but there's definitely more of an interest on the paycheck than actually, distributing what they want to say or having a fun show. There's not a lot of experimentation on radio broadcasts. It's one of the main reasons why I had the chance to apply to it one time and I didn't do it. Kind of glad I didn't, because I saw just how repetitious it was, along with the lack of damn, my voice really is getting stripped out. Just the lack of variety in everything. I'm also going to break up this podcast, the recording, into multiple pieces, so it'll be easier to edit and double check it or re-export if I need to change file types. It's the first time, so I'm just kind of having fun with it. I can't believe we're already 5 minutes in. That's crazy. Oh, I have beef with SiriusXM. Got some new... I don't want to go into stuff with my company, but I got the chance to pretty much listen to SiriusXM, and the repetition is maddening. The people running it, it's just so horrifically fake. Yeah, it's all oh, we have to play the same 20 hit singles every day, and they're horrible. I mean, they're horrible. The musical rant, I'll go into that later on another topic, but we all know the state of modern pop music, I hope, but I just it's kind of unfound. It's empty music being promoted by empty people. And if you don't believe me, just listen to 30 minutes of Sirius XM when it's just the announcers and the people running the mainstream music accounts, like music frequencies on Sirius XM. It's deafening to the soul. I guess that's how I describe it. And I in my notes I was like, I got a little bit about this where it's like all these people out in South California, like they have plastic surgery, and so they're surrounded by like, they're surrounded by lizard people, who they have plastic skin. They have rubber skin on top of their reptilian skin. You have actual humans who have plastic skin because of the numerous, like, dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen, 100 plastic surgery that's had. So you have these fake lizard people looking at these fake human people, and these fake human people looking at these fake lizard people, and these lizard people look back at the fake human people, and these fake human people look back at the fake lizard people, and eventually this happens long enough in, like, LA that they can't even distinguish each other, so they don't even mention it. Like, I assume there's a lot of humans in southern LA, or I mean just South California in general, but LA that like they know they're lizard people, and there are lizard people who know that there are like just humans among them that have like 30 plastic surgeries, but they're indistinguishable from one another, so the system just keeps continuing, and you just get more and more plastic surgery people, and you get more and more lizard people, and pretty soon it's just an amalgamation of plastic skin. And I feel like 90% of them, if they just like scratch their faces too hard, it would all fall off. But I mean, that's not like a criticism of it. I believe we're human. We have the right to destroy our flesh. I've wanted to rip my skin off. I might cut that out. We'll see. But that's a little bit. Yeah. So they don't. Yeah, the lizard people and the plastic surgery people don't rat each other out because there's no point. Because it's pretty much the same thing at this point. Another thing that I should mention going into this podcast is that I will repeat bits. And I was a little worried about this until I realized just how many things were reiterated. And the inclusion of guests stops this in its tracks. This is why kind of like solo or small crew podcasts only last like, a certain number of episodes before you kind of stop having stuff to talk about. Then you would bring on guests. Or you'd find new material to talk about. But that's easier when you're younger than when you're older, I think, in general. It's like, and I was a little worried about that. I was like, look at Joe Rogan. He's talked about DMT one time. I bet if you sat down and you listened to all the Joe Rogan podcasts, all like, I mean, how long would that be? 20, 30 hours, I bet he only talks about DMT one time. Joe Rogan has only brought up psychedelics once in his entire career. It's incredible. Considering his usage, he only has talked about it once. I'm not kidding. Sarcasm is, the highest form of comedy. I just want to get that on the record. Personally, I'm also trying to take better help. I'm trying to take better care of my kidneys. Because I, in and out of certain workplaces, I've realized it's like, I'll be on the toilet, and there's a urinal next to me, and someone walks in and they start praying, and I think to myself, man, I really don't want to be here in 30 years. And I'm trying. It's like, well, these people that have like what's the term for it? Inconsistency. They got to pray to get the piss out. So I'm like, I don't want to be there. So I've kind of cut back on soda because all the people who do this, all they drink is soda. That's pretty expected, I guess. I mean, you would have problems if all you drank was soda. I've never seen these people drink water, by the way. It's unheard of. I don't think they do. Not that they're lizard people or anything. Lizards drink water, so they're definitely not lizard people. But they pray while they're pissing, and I've realized, it's like, well, that's terrible. I don't want to be in that position. But also, they could just, could be an STI. I don't know. I'm not going to get too critical, but it's like, well, it's either drinking nothing but soda or it's an STI, or it's both. It could be both, So that's my thoughts on that. I'm gonna stop the recording real quick so I can restart and save this and move these files around and do a little didgeridooing in the meantime. All right, where were we? Oh yeah. I was talking about like potentially starting beef with people or something like that. Maybe I was just starting it from scratch, but yeah, I've debated who like I would call out first or like go after first, and I'm not really interested in that. I think it's too early to take on the Church of Scientology. They're a little more powerful than I am right now, so I don't want to go after them yet.
And also, I don't want to get this channel attacked or shut down or like targeted at all because it's, I mean, I could always start over. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. What am I saying? It'd be devastating for like 5 hours, and then I get over it and start back from scratch. You're doing the Lord's work when they're coming after you and trying to shut down your stuff. Yeah, I don't want to beef with the Church of Scientology because they run YouTube. Everybody knows that. Yeah, YouTube. I mean, they probably ran by him. I think they ran by him. I'm gonna bounce my mic a lot. There's gonna be a lot of background sounds. There's a new Alien movie out, Alien Romulus. I've heard it's pretty good. I got to think about that. I was looking. Actually, it came up my feed today, like some H.R. Geiger artwork. I kind of got a bit together about like how that happened. It's like it's 19. What is it? It's like 1977. Star Wars just came out. Ridley Scott's sitting in his office. He's like, man, I got this really killer idea for a movie. I need to call in this guy to design something real cool because I got this script, but I need something that like actually sells the script. So he calls up H.R. Geiger, and H.R. Geiger, he shuffles in, and he's like, oh, this guy's, what the hell is this dude doing with two giant ass dogs on his head? And H.R. Geiger walks closer, and Ridley Scott's like, oh, that's his eyebrows. Oh shit. So and he sits down. He's like, well, welcome, Mr. Geiger. And Mr. Geiger, I don't even remember where Mr. Geiger's from. I think he's from like Romania, Austria, Ukraine. Right? I don't even know what nationality he is. I'd have to look it up. It might be Austrians. Austrians were getting wacky within the 70s. But he H.R. Geiger reaches into his briefcase and he's like, here. And he hands Ridley Scott like, the illustrations of the xenomorph. And Ridley Scott's immediately like, oh yeah, this movie's gonna work. This looks great. One problem, I'm gonna have to use these designs and not these. And H.R. Geiger's like, why? What's wrong? And he's like, it's the giant breasts. It's these massive breasts. I mean, they could have been smaller, and that might have worked, but these are like huge Eastern European breasts. Like this is something from your homeland, and I respect that, but I just don't think American audiences are ready for this yet. I don't think they're ready to see, a 7 foot tall alien with, not just breasts, but Eastern European breasts, Mr. Geiger. And that's, it's amazing illustration. Side profiles are phenomenal. Don't know how I feel about the tubes leaving the sexual organs in the mouth. That's a bit much. Those aren't going to be in there, but I love the design. We're just not going to be able to use these Eastern European breasts. And it's not just because like we don't want to alienate American audiences. The Soviet, the Cold War's on, and if an American, like some people are going to take their kids to see this, they shouldn't, but they will, and there's going to be some very influenceable 18-year-olds in that audience, and if they see this, it's not that it's a representation of your homeland, but it's definitely an Eastern European current Soviet state piece of anatomy. So, Mr. Geiger, we're going to have to cut this out because if American audiences actually do resonate with this, they might, become sympathetic to the Soviet Union and their people because this 7 foot tall xenomorph alien has your Eastern European breasts. So we're not going to be able to do this. And we don't want to also make the actor uncomfortable because, we got this, we're already planning on it. We have this 7 foot tall Nigerian kid to get in this suit. And I really don't want to make him uncomfortable. I mean, he's going to be walking around scaring the hell out of these actresses and actors already. I really don't want to make him uncomfortable with like some giant Eastern European boobs on this weird rubber suit on top of this 7 foot tall Nigerian kid. Like this is just too much conflict. So I think if we lose the weird sex tubes and the Eastern European breasts, we'll be fine. But I love Mr. Geiger. I can't wait to work with him. They shake hands, and the rest is history. So that's how Alien was made. And without there would be no Alien Romulus. So you can thank Mr. Geiger for his work. Some of it, most of it, not all of it, for obvious reasons. But yeah, that's the story of Alien. I haven't seen the movie yet. I might down the road. I'm probably not going to go see it in theaters, but if I do, I'll talk about it. And my goals with this podcast is to make it less about media The older I've gotten, I've become very, very selective with what I watch. You know, it's like I have X amount of time. I have limited amount of time to take stuff in. I think very, very deeply, or I try to. I try to, at least. I'm not gonna say like, oh, I'm well versed. I think about everything I do. Hold on, I need water. I need water bad. Oh god. Okay, I'm good. I'm home alone right now, so I can say whatever I want. I can record whatever I want. I can cut out whatever I want. That's what I like about editing. It's addictive in like a I'm in a megalomaniac kind of way. Like megalomaniacs love editing, so I wake up every day grateful I'm not one of them, I think. But yeah, so I try and be very selective about what I watch, and I don't like watching stuff to like make others happy. If I get a great recommendation from a friend, I will check it out. Like, it's like, oh, I do need to read this book. I do need to watch this movie because a friend who has similar tastes has recommended it to me, and honestly, it's probably that good based on what they've, recommended me in the past. So that's something to consider, but I would never like watch a show I don't have a, some level of interest in to, appease someone else, especially if it's someone who's got like weird taste. Cause I'm always like, I could watch one of these shows that, people I used to go in school with. And then I'm like, this is like coming from people who like read like those weird fantasy, targeted at single women in their 20s, who currently don't have a boyfriend, and that's like their target audience. And it's like they recommend these shows, and I'm like, ooh, this feels similar in tone, and I am not down to clown with that stuff, so I usually pass. As far as like creative inspiration on stuff that I'm working on, I my other problem is like I keep having dreams where it's like it's a movie, but it's being rewritten in real time, and it's like when I wake up I'm like, is that what happened in the movie? And like 5 seconds later I'm like, what am I thinking? That's not at all what happened. But now it's like permanently connected to my memory of the movie. Like I was sleeping a while back, like a week ago, and I was like sat down with some friends, and there was a thunderstorm outside, and we were watching The Birdcage with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. And for some reason, this version of The Birdcage had like Anthony Bourdain in it, and he was like a main character, and he was fitting right in. Like it made perfect sense. The script, the plot line, everything was just checking out. And I mean I can't talk about the rest of the movie because it was just too graphic. Like it was too graphic for me. I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I'm really not. I'm not for this. This is getting out of control. But yeah, Anthony Bourdain was in this like subconscious version of The Birdcage, and it was like really well written. I was amazed because I didn't write it, but I was having this dream where the whole movie script was just completely different. But it was obviously The Birdcage. It was crazy. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just shit like that happens all the time now, where I'll rewrite a movie in a dream, and that like version of the movie is just internally attached to the version I see in real life. But yeah, that's the end of that little bit. So I'm gonna end the recording again. I'm gonna start again, and we're gonna keep going forward. I think I got my flow down. I think I got my volume down. I'm gonna get some more water because I'm going through it like mad. My jug's already almost empty. But yeah, I'll be back in a sec, and I'll cut all this together. You don't need to worry about it. You don't even need to worry about it. Yeah, I am having a blast right now. Okay, this isn't your daddy's podcast. All right. This is the real podcast. There is no script. There's just footnotes and caffeine, which is starting to wear off. But I will finish this podcast before it does. Yeah, I don't know why I'm switching in and out of a country accent. I think it's just because I'm back home. Next bit. So I was saying the other day about how we used blow up decoy tanks in World War II, right? Which this is also not a good sign. We've mentioned the World Wars twice in the first half hour of the podcast. That is not a good sign, obviously. Like I'm like I've mentioned the World Wars twice and I don't have autism. Like that tells you exactly how dangerous this podcast could become, how bad it could be. And my accent will change continuously because I don't realize it's like slipping into like a caricature of what I'm saying, and then I bring it back. And that's kind of just how that just kind of happens, Like I might end up speaking another language before this. I'm English is my first language, so English is my first language, so I'm not very fluent in it. And I don't know any other languages. But I'm very bad at English because it is my first language. If English is your first language, you're probably not good at English. Like me. Yeah, we're 30 minutes in. We mentioned the world wars. We've mentioned the world wars twice. I don't have autism. This is a bad sign. Very bad sign. But yeah, this I've been curious about the legality of like inflatable police cars. Like imagine they had like a blow up state trooper car that they could put along the side of a highway, and they would put one every 3, 4, 5 miles, and it would be just far off the road, like from a distance you couldn't tell. And then they would have a real one at interchangeable, and they like flip a coin. It's like, ooh, are we gonna put a real state trooper here today, or at the next location? And so you'd be driving along and be like, oh, state trooper. No, it's just an inflatable. It's like a blow up sex doll version of a state trooper car, but it's not. And then it would be a real one at the next one, so you would have no idea if you were getting a fake state trooper or a real state trooper. And I need to patent this so they won't steal it from me. I need to patent this so the police won't take it from me, because one, this is highly unethical. I think one of the dangers of this podcast is I will give unethical people very unethical ideas, inevitably. So I think that's one of the big dangers, because stuff like that's always on my mind. But they'll have a real one every 5 miles, and then they'll have a fake one, and they'll flip coins on which ones are real and which ones are fake. You could have 3 real cop cars in a row and 3 fake cop cars in a row. You just never know from a distance. I mean, obviously the illusion would eventually be broken. People would be so upset they probably they pop them and they'd steal them, and then they'd burn them. They'd probably end up being used for nefarious purposes. Like you just blow up a cop car, push it down the street. You can break up any criminal activity, both by the law enforcement and by opposition to law enforcement, with other opposition themselves. That's kind of how it would just work. It'd be like warfare. It'd be counterintelligence. But yeah, that is the danger, the prospect, and the potential patent. I might get it for inflatable state state trooper cars. So that's on the table. Next note. Let's see. It took me about a week to write all these notes down. I don't even think we'll get through them, because I'm only like a third of the way through this, and I think we're like 25 minutes in. I was originally expecting this to like be a 30-minute podcast, but that's not the case. And when I wrote this down in the notes, it was like on the second day of taking notes, and that was a week ago. So I hope that works out. I'm going to, going forward, this podcast, every podcast, hopefully, I will avoid self-deprecation like the plague. The people I listen to kind of get inspired to do this, they can be super self-deprecating at times. It's horribly, horribly off-putting. So, and I'm very self-defeating, very net negative over the course of their productions. So my goal is to not have self-deprecation at all, and just kind of manage it, I view these as a time for intense self-reflection. I ain't got time for self-hatred. I got time for self-criticism and self-reflection. Self-hatred, I don't have time for that stuff. It's time to kill. I want to kill. It's a very good thing I'm not in the military. With that, that gung-ho-ness, I'd be a 4-star general by now. It's inevitable. If I joined the military when I was 18 and I had that kind of attitude, I would be a 4-star general. I believe that. But yeah, Alice's Restaurant's such a good song, dude. It's phenomenal. I gotta wait another, what is that, like 2.5 months to listen to it again. It's a phenomenal song. I wanna kill. I don't want beef with the industrial military complex. They are also ran by Scientology, so I don't want any trouble. Oh, I wrote down my notes. This is a great one. The Magic School Bus. This is a great theory. The Magic School Bus actually takes place in the future. My whole belief on this is that, think about it. So the Matrix, right? Like they take all these people in the future, and if they don't give them like stimuli, they'll die and their brains will rot, and so they send them back to the peak of society. So they send them back to the 90s, right? It's like, oh yeah, the '90s, they were the best. So we'll send them back to the '90s, and it's the Magic School Bus takes place in the '90s. It's got a diverse cast. It's got a diverse cast. There's no like weird racial epitaphs or like undertones. It's just the '90s, right? Or at least I think it's what the '90s is like. It's like a personified, perfected version of the '90s that was created during the '90s. So it's just a very interesting show. But think about it. You got this crazy teacher, and she takes them on all these crazy adventures. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what would stop this from being an AI construct? Like, I legitimately think, like, Miss Frizz is, like, a hacker who got this group of kids who are in the Matrix and took them, like, the whole Matrix is set in the 90s, right? So she's a hacker, and she takes them on all these wild adventures because she can bend the code. She is the one. The whole moral, or the whole point, not moral, but point of this theory is that Miss Frizz is the one. She is Neo. And, she's got everything it would take. So, like, they hop in the Magic School Bus, and then the theme song plays, and then they go into space, and Arnold takes off his helmet, and it's like, well, he didn't die. It's not because they were in space and they got him inside quick enough. It's because this is all an AI construct. Kids can't die. They're plugged into the Matrix. They're in those, like, weird tube chambers, and Miss Frizz is a hacker, like, educating them and trying to break them out of the system. It's why no one else has, like, a Magic School Bus or is a teacher, because their parents ain't the one. They're not their parents, their teacher. Miss Frizz, all their other teachers ain't Neo. Miss Frizz is Neo. It's so clear once you realize that the Magic School Bus is an AI construct and Miss Frizz is Neo. I don't know why I beat around the bush so long to say that. It's so obvious. I don't know how anyone could ever argue against this theory. But yeah, there's really no other explanation. Unless you would say it's magic, but that doesn't really make any sense. Because, like, why would she be educating these kids if it was magic? It's like, it's all educational. It's like, yeah, we're gonna go back to the dinosaurs. It's a great episode. But that's that theory. I could go into it more later, but I think it all checks out. What do I got? Oh, I was gonna review Deadpool 3. I might have made a longer form review. But I didn't go see it actually out of my choosing. A friend of mine wanted to see it, and I was like, you know what? I'll go see it. It's probably better than anything Marvel's put out in the last 3-4 years, anyways. It's probably trustworthy to extent, and it was a mixed bag. I think the biggest problem with it was Ryan Reynolds was talking to Wolverine the whole time, and Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. He needs to be talking to the audience. Like, it's hard to break the fourth wall continuously if you're talking to Hugh Jackman and not us, but I understand why he was talking to Hugh Jackman instead of us. I mean, for God's sakes, Hugh Jackman's performance was next level. It was, I almost think it was more emotional and more well-crafted at times than Logan, which is incredible. I mean, I can't even believe that, honestly. But it was kind of campy, and it's just, I think it was the weakest of the Deadpool movies. It's like the best Wolverine movie I've seen in forever, but simultaneously the weakest of the Deadpool movies. So that's my Deadpool 3 review. I still think it's worth watching. It's definitely better than most other stuff that Marvel's put out. So yeah, that's Deadpool 3. Okay, let me check my notes. I just wrote down fanny packs are gay. Tactical fanny packs are awesome. I stand by that statement. Okay, that fanny pack's got 15 zippers, and you could fit it's like it has all the size of a purse, but none of the mystique of a purse or the issues with a purse. Doesn't go anywhere. It's sit on your hips. It's not gonna fly off your shoulder. It's like it's preferable to a book bag, but it's only if it's a tactical fanny pack. If it's like a regular fanny pack where you can't even fit most stuff in it, it's kind of gay. And I might cut this bit out if I look back on it. I'm like, damn, am I really gonna use gay as an adjective? And I'll probably leave it in because there's worse alternatives. But yeah, fanny packs are pretty gay, but tactical fanny packs are awesome. I've had the chance to use them a couple times. I really like tactical fanny packs. They're pretty awesome. You could fit like a whole Desert Eagle in them. They're pretty great. Oh, I was at the mall for a couple things. I went and saw some movies. Might talk about that in the future. Film festival stuff. I was curious. Like, I saw the machines there. I was curious if like kids in the new generation still get those like quarter stickers, with like the megalodons and stuff on them, and the like skateboard dudes, just the ones that are like holographic and they got all the cool stuff on it. Like kids still mess with those?
They still get, because I almost never got them as a kid. I just didn't have an interest in them, but like they're still there. They're still stocked. So like, I guess kids are still doing that. And then I also wrote down like a question. This is more like maybe something to give feedback in the comments if more than 2 people watch this. Has internet brain rot increased or decreased the net profit from the adolescent? Because obviously, like I guess there's more like brain rot and like new age gaming are obviously linked. So there's tons of microtransactions and there's tons of kids who just somehow manage to get access to their parents' credit cards, which I applaud them for being able to do that, but spending it on all the dumb stuff, it's just sad seeing them waste the potential on stealing their parents' credit card. They could have bought so much stuff, and what do they buy? They buy like Fortnite V-Bucks or some whatever. Fortnite Battle Pass. I'm not gonna sing the song. It's stuck in my head now, but I'm not gonna sing it. Fortnite Battle Pass. No, we're not doing that. I'm chronically online. That is a goal. I'm gonna try and spend less time online. But I am curious if like these corporations get more money out of kids now or less money out of kids. I feel like kids are stupider, but at the same time, I feel like their marketing is way worse because, like, you go back and you watch commercials from the mid 2000s. It's like, yeah, all these toys look awesome, and I don't think that is solely to do with the intelligence of kids. I think that is legitimately like the marketing was just way more. It was way more interesting because we couldn't work around commercials. Like, well, we kind of got to watch the commercials. We got short attention spans, and if we go off to do something else, we're not going to make it back in time for the show. So I don't know. We live in a post-commercial age, and I think I don't know if that's harder or worse on corporations. I don't know. I partially want it to be worse, but at the same time, like, I want kids to, if they're going to get toys, they should be quality toys. So someone has to market. Let's see here. What else is on here? Oh, I was gonna talk about like the theory about like not can I talk about COVID on here? Like, can I say that name? COVID, COOF, 2019. Okay, I'm not even gonna. Can I call it the Wuhan flu? Can I call it all the wacky stuff? We're not gonna get too political on here, but I don't even know the state of YouTube censorship. I don't even know. But my big theory. See, there I go with the accent again. I have an accent. Or like it comes in, I don't realize it. My big theory is that the response to COVID is all part of this plan. It's like, well, we had an extreme low kill rate virus, and now there's a bunch of people who will not follow a lockdown again. There's a bunch of people who will be all willing and just will immediately agree to the full weight of a lockdown again. And so it's like, man, this would be awful if like someone engineered a high kill rate virus, like a 30% kill rate virus, and let it go. So all the people who don't follow along with, government regulation and a shutdown will die, and everybody who follows obediently will live because the virus will have a 30 times COVID kill ratio, which maybe that's all part of the plan. This is still a conspiracy channel, by the way, but that's just a bit of a rant. That's an idea. What else is there? Oh, it's a little bit. I saw like an article posted like fluoride was actually finally proven to lower IQ points. I don't know if any of that's true or not. I'm just saying I saw it. Like I saw it with my eyes. I took in the information, and my brain processed it. That's all I can say for certain. Also, my audio looks like it's peaking like crazy. I can't really tell. And I still got the cover on this thing. I hope it all works. So yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I haven't done the independent research. All I know is that if that's true, and fluoride really does lower IQ points, how would we go about rectifying this? And obviously there'd be massive lawsuits and issues coming up in the future regarding the legality of all that. But I was thinking about like in a just world, what would the judgment for this look like? And I keep coming back to this notion of like all the dentists that applied this. It would be, I mean, this is more of a bit than anything else, but it would be hilarious if like a judge, he's up there and he's got the gavel and he slams it down. He's like, and he's like, you, sir, Mr. Dentist Hathorn, you will have 10 of your teeth removed with pliers for the crimes you have committed against these children. 10 teeth, any you choose, but they will come out. I think there's something about that I find mildly hilarious. Punishing
unorthodox or unethical dentists by removing their teeth. Like that's just that's so funny. That's so funny. Like seeing a dentist with bad teeth is just that kills me. It really kills me. Not even dentures, just their real teeth. There's a joke in there. Yes, should we punish unethical dentists by ripping out their teeth? Very, very valid questions, along with the fluoride stuff. Very valid questions. I'm not making any statements here. I'm just asking questions. I can ask any question. That's what I like about this. I love blue cheese. I love Arby's. They're absolutely disgusting. I mean, when I eat it, I'm like, this is horrific. Like, who would ever ingest this stuff? And then I eat a lot of it. And I don't eat fast food very often, but I have a weird obsession with Arby's. You know, it's a guy, low pitched voice telling me they got the meats. I show up. You know, it happens. I don't know. I don't have control over these things. I'll just be driving home. Next thing I know, I'm at Arby's. That's happened a few times. I never eat fast food. But I really, really stinky blue cheese and Arby's. Like, they're disgusting. They taste like shit. But I love them. I keep eating them. You know, it's like, oh, this is disgusting. This is like slop. And then I fucking eat it. Like, I feel like if the shit they give pigs, if it tasted good enough, I'd probably eat it. It's just, I don't know. It's some part of my lizard brain just fucking loves that stuff. But I am trying to be healthier, and I will do everything in my power to overcome my blue cheese and Arby's addiction. Not like regular blue cheese, like the ultra nasty blue cheese, like more mold than cheese. You know, that's the ultimatum. I love that word, ultimatum. I will use it a lot. I just found out my USB input can fall out of my microphone. I might have to tape it, jerry rig it with duct tape. I don't know where that term comes from. I like jerry rigging. It's a fun word. Damn, I'm losing my voice. I might actually lose my voice before the end of this podcast. Damn. Oh yeah, Chinese ripoff movies. They're getting like way better. I don't know how restricted or unrestricted the production casts or production crews on them are, but like, I mean, they're gonna start out competing Disney in regards to the quality at this point, because it's like they got the animation down and they don't suck. Because this will be a whole nother podcast where I talk about like the state of a lot of major media, influences and where everything is with that. Because it is interesting. You might say it doesn't matter. It's like, I grew up with a lot of, like, looking back, I grew up with a lot of really great media influences and just shows, movies of my day back in, growing up. And looking back, some of them were not very good, and some of them were actually, kind of down, loaded down, and looking back were not very great. But that's hindsight. Like, this is all happening now. Like, kids now are seeing this stuff, and that's going to be a whole nother conversation, for better and worse. Okay, what else do I got here? I'm also reading Akira. I'm reading Akira. I've seen the movie in the way back in the day, but I'm reading it now. It's phenomenal. Early thoughts. It might be the best, like, finished work I've read. I've read some other stuff that's pretty good, but it's stuff that's ongoing. And I haven't sat down and read like a book, like a full textbook, not textbook, but like a book with text since winter. And I think that's because, like, I was kind of off put by I was reading like John Grisham's nonfiction. It's like The Innocent Man or something. Like a family member recommended it to me, and it's like it was so bland and dry. And I've read nonfiction before, obviously, but I was just like, this is so bland and dry, but it's so accessible, and it is an interesting story, and it's kind of well delivered. So it's like, I don't want to read more John Grisham, but it's very bland, but I understand the appeal because it's so accessible. Like, anybody could sit down and read this and kind of follow it, but it's just one of those, like, man, this could have a lot more flair, and every time it has a little bit of flair, it's just kind of off-putting. Like, there's not a lot of, like, I'm doing this my way, piss off kind of writing, and I really like writing like that. Not self-aggrandizing, but simultaneously, like, hey, you know what you're signing up for, bro. And I like writing like that, and that is kind of the opposite of what I got from John Grisham. So I kind of took a break from that, and I've been reading Akira and taking my time with it. And it's phenomenal. It's one of the best things I've ever read. Talking about interesting looking people. There's a part in here where I wrote in my notes that people watching in Walmart should be an Olympic sport. Like you go around the whole store, you see as many people you see, and then you remember and describe the people present, and how accurate you are, and how impressive your description is determines your placement. And it should be an Olympic sport. And there's a bit in here where I was like, if I was in the woods, right, and I look over, I turn around, I hear a noise, I hear a twig snap, I'm palm my thumb. You hear that behind you because there's a twig snap, and you turn around and there's Bigfoot, there's the Sasquatch man himself, and one of the certain people I find there's just interesting looking people in the world, not like attractive or unattractive, just very unusual body builds, very unusual face structures, interesting, just downright interesting. Some of the people I've seen at Walmart, if I saw some of the people I've seen at Walmart standing next to Bigfoot in the woods, I would pull out my phone. I'd be like, I gotta get a picture of this. I can't, it's cool this Bigfoot guy showed up, but I gotta get a picture of this dude. I gotta record. They ain't gonna believe me if I describe this guy. They'll believe me if I say I saw Bigfoot in the woods, but they ain't gonna believe me if I saw, like, I'll describe this person and they'll be like, that person doesn't exist. But I see people like that every time I go to Walmart. I go to Walmart half the time just to people watch. I'm like, I could just go get groceries this weekend, but I'll swing in. It's an extra block out of my way, just to people watch, just to look at these people. It should be an Olympic sport. That's all I'm saying. If breakdancing can be an Olympic sport, people watching at Walmart should be an Olympic sport. That's my piece. Make of it what you will. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, I've lost my voice enough. I need to let you guys know I am now a country artist. I'm going to be releasing a single in a couple months. It's called Little Cowtown. It goes like, I'm from a little cow town. It's got little cows in it. My wife, she looks like a cow. I got a trailer to haul around in it. I'm going to lose my voice. That is what all industry country sounds like to me today. I grew up with country. I grew up with 2000s country. That is what all industry country sounds like to me today. It is that bad. And it'll be its own video. Talk about in the future. The state of modern music, the state of pop, the state of country. It's its own video, but that's my song, Little Cowtown. Oh gosh, I am going to lose my voice. That's my song, Little Cowtown. It's going to be coming out in November. I hope y'all buy it. CD, vinyl, digital download, Spotify Premium. Come see me live in Nashville with that, producer with those 5 gold rings watching over my shoulder that never did cocaine in the 80s, so they don't know what the hell they're doing. But that's my Little Cowtown. Yeah. And like I said, my accent, my voice, my pitch, the way I sound will change continuously because I start going in one direction, I don't stop it until I realize I don't even sound like myself. And my voice is too tired to go high pitch. But I could also do that. We'll see. Okay, what else I got? Oh, media literacy. We talked about media. People are starting to use media literacy as an insult. People who say they're media literate getting insulted. People who aren't media literate are idiots. And this is why I need to spend less time on social media, because I hate both of these. Maybe you should watch stuff, think about stuff, evaluate things, enjoy good art made by people with good intentions. I think that's a big part of life. So, yeah, but people are using media literacy and insults, and as an insult in both directions. I can't stand to see it. I hate it. I never even heard that term until 2 months ago, but we all kind of, I think, know what it means to some extent. That's another video for another time. I guess the reason I've been talking about media so much in this podcast is because I want to be honest. If this podcast continues and it becomes more and more and more and more political or charged, or heaven forbid we get into religiosity, I will go off the rails. I will lose my mind. I will plunge this thing into such a state of depravity and insanity. It will be irredeemable. And I kind of hope that happens, but I need it to happen after someone watches it, hopefully. That's why we're talking about media and maybe a little philosophy right now and just stuff I jot down, because when this podcast becomes a political religious shit show, I hope to have some fans who will be ready for whatever comes of it, because it will. I'm excited. I'll just say it. I'm excited. Get excited. Oh yeah, coffee use. I was gonna talk about it. Caffeine. I have no caffeine tolerance, and I'm back home, so I had some coffee this morning. I never have coffee. I had caffeine this morning. I've been riding that high for 5 straight hours. I had 2 cups, and I have been sweating profusely. I have been brainstorming the last third of this podcast for half the morning. And I've just been brainstorming a bunch of other stuff I can't talk about right now because I mentioned the political and religious blocks that I'm putting in place so this thing doesn't spill out of control. So yeah, that's the state of that. But I have no caffeine tolerance. I might just drink caffeine in the future so that this podcast can run at all. I don't know how my mood will affect the quality of these recordings. I want to have guests on in the future. They will. I don't know if I'll make them sign a waiver, but they got to be cool with the potential of being assaulted. Obviously, like I might, if things get a little heated, I might assault them. I might attack them physically, hurt them painfully, bring pain down on their souls and body, and that might happen. So I need guests who are really okay with that, and that's kind of hard to come by. So I know a few people I'd love to have on the podcast who are automatically out because of that caveat. But I might have a third person on to kind of wrangle it. So we'll see. And then I also jump around a lot, so I got to be very, very careful that I don't overshare stuff. I don't include certain information that could come back to haunt me. But I just need to be very careful with it, and because I do overshare. I get to talking, I overshare, so I need to watch that very carefully. Okay, story time. Great story. Went home, had a conversation with my dad and my uncle. And my dad was like, hey, we'll just say my uncle's name is Brett Cooper. He's like, hey Uncle Brett Cooper, you ever heard of this guy called Mr. Beast? This was probably about 4 months ago. And he was like, he's from he's from our neck of the woods. But he's like a multimillionaire, and he's like helping out these African villagers, and they call him the Beast. He actually didn't say Mr. Beast. He was like, they call this dude the Beast. They call him the Beast. He's a multimillionaire. You don't understand. He made his fortune doing this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I know who he is. My uncle didn't know, of course. But I was like, yeah, I know who he is. And I was like, a lot of people think he's the Antichrist. I don't know if he's the Antichrist, but if he is, he is. And if he's not, he's not. But I was like, a lot of people think he's the Antichrist. And my dad was like, that's ridiculous. And I was like, well, he does have Beast in his name. And so that story has aged phenomenally. And I love the way my dad was like, they call him the Beast. They call him the Beast. It was incredible to hear it from someone who's like not online at all and just saw an interview with the guy. It was phenomenal. And it's aged like the finest of wine. The finest of wine. Again, I need to get offline. I need to stop spending so much time on social media. It has to end for the sake of my soul, my mind, this podcast probably, for the sake of all of it. Less time online. I want to interact with the comments or anybody who swings by, but that's where I got to end it. That's where I got to slow down, slow my roll. Oh, speaking of too much internet, I saw a post the other day where it was like this somewhere in East Asia, this father had like his like really young, probably like year old, probably like 2 years old daughter in like a tote, and like very, she's way too young to go on a roller coaster, but they had like a first person roller coaster ride queued up on their big TV, and he's like holding her, a couple feet off the ground in this tote, and he's like doing the motions of the roller coaster. It's like she's on a roller coaster, and she's probably like 18 months, 2 years old, and she's having a blast. She's just having a great time, and the father's having a great time, and the mom's recording it, and she's like having an absolute, like it's a hoot. It's a hoot. I don't use that word very often. It's a hoot, man. There's owls in here, and it's a hoot. And the comments, oh man, how many of the comments were just like, this is cringe, this is stupid, this is dumb. I hate the fucking internet, dude. I hate the internet so much. I'm tired of the toxicity. I'm tired of all of it, which is ironic because I'm trying to make a podcast. But at the same time, I'm so tired, man. I'm so tired of the internet. God. Um, but yeah, negativity. I understand reasonable negativity. I understand like cultural negativity. This is on a whole nother level, man. We're watching a father and daughter have a wholesome moment, and you people are being negative. I can't take this anymore. Who are these people? Are they even people? Are they the people in southern LA with the lizard skin? The lizard skin with the plastic skin on top of the lizard skin next to the people with the plastic skin on top of the real flesh skin that are human, who are indistinguishable from the lizard humans? Is that who these people are? These can't be real people. Yeah. So, anyways, okay. The name of this podcast, I've decided on nuclear winter. I like it. I really like it. I think it's a perfect. I think it perfectly represents what I'm trying to do. You know, it's a double entendre. I might go into that in the future, what it represents. But it's like, I've thought about this a lot, and it's like, the universe may damn well explode unless there's divine intervention. It might explode in 2 billion years, 3 billion, 4 billion, 10 billion. I don't know, but something's gonna happen if there's not divine intervention. If Jesus doesn't come back, you know. So if that doesn't happen, maybe it is better that we choose our own fate. We destroy ourselves than to slowly die out in the universe. Now I do think the destiny of mankind is to develop faster than light travel, reach the stars, interact with foreign life forms. Not like Star Trek level. It'll probably be like the Wild West, where it's like, we have a lot of positive interactions with Indians, but we also have a lot of bad ones. It's kind of a mixed bag. I feel like that's going to be aliens. It's going to be a bunch of crazy, rough and tumble people in these derelict spaceships out on the frontier, interacting with aliens like cowboy style. I think that's how it's going to be. And there's going to be like no central government controlling it or anything like that. It's just going to be every man for himself, Wild West, except instead of the Wild West, it'll be space, Cowboy Bebop, Space Cowboy, whatever you want to call it. That's what it'll be like. So yeah, I think that's our destiny. If there is such a thing as destiny. I think us sacrificing ourselves, and this is reiterated in a lot of media, us sacrificing ourselves for our own destruction is more appealing than a meaningless death out in the cosmos. But that's if that happens. Because, this is going to get, kind of metaphysical maybe, but, the idea of total peace in the world because we've destroyed ourselves and there's no animal life, there's no plant life, there's no human life, we're just a rock. It'll be quiet. There'll be peace on Earth finally, but it'll be a quiet peace. It'll be a totally empty, devoid, noiseless peace. And, silence is a lot like darkness. It's welcome during times of rest, but it cannot be welcome at all times. A world without light and only total silence will bring a time of rest, but then insanity. Because the idea of existing without sound and only darkness, no light, will drive a person to insanity, but there won't be any people. So there'll be no opportunity for insanity. It won't even be peace. It'll just be an innocent rock without good or evil, which is a terrifying notion, but at the same time a slightly comforting notion. I don't really know how to feel about it. I don't even know if I agree with what I'm saying right now, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that I like the name Nuclear Winter. I think it's got a lot of potential. I think it's grabs your attention. It hasn't been taken yet. That's number one. But yeah, peace at the end of the world. No more superficial ego. No more superficial ego. Not ego waffle. No more superficial ego. But also, no opportunity for good. No opportunity for evil. Nothing. Should be avoided, but there's a piece in it that I can't really touch my finger on. And this podcast, I want it to be this chaotic, insane thing, but I also want it to bring peace to people. I want it to bring people together. So that's why it is what it is. And so we're gonna be philosophical now. We're gonna be touch and go. Anything I think of, I write down some notes on my phone. I write them down hard copy. I talk about them. I have guests on. That's what it's gonna be for now. The politics, the religion, the truly insane things can wait. So I think this is I think we're wrapping up the final episode, or the final episode. This is the finale of the first episode. And I want to thank everybody for listening. Anybody listening, I just want to say thank you if you made it this far. That's a feat. That's an accomplishment. I don't know how the final cut version of this is going to be, how long it's going to be, but I know I've had some good moments. I know there's been some rough moments, and I just want to thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it, and I'd love to read some comments in the future. If anything takes off, if this gets more than 2 views, I will be extraordinarily pleased. So thank you, anybody listening, and I'll see you next time.